Well, for more, we can speak to Michael Hughes, a historian of 19th and 20th century Russia at Lancaster University. Thank you for speaking to France 24. I'm not sure if you saw it, but on Monday, there was a startling speech by Russian President Vladimir Putin, a long, angry history lesson disputing the legitimacy of Ukraine's statehood. As a history professor yourself, what was your take of that speech?
Well, it's a speech that takes certain elements in the Russian past which are true. The histories of the Russian and Ukrainian people are very much entangled. But what Putin does then is kind of cherry pick certain facts and certain themes to fit his current agenda, to argue that really Ukraine has no right to exist. He's been saying these things for a long time now, actually. There's nothing new about it. And I suspect that Putin, in some ways, does actually believe this. He does believe that Ukraine is, in some ways, just a part of Russia, always has been and always should be.
Yeah, so do you think his ultimate goal then is to restore the empire from 100 years ago?
It's a very, very frightening thought, not least because Ukraine may not be in NATO, but other former parts of the Soviet Union are. I don't know. A few months ago, like many people, I would have said that Putin was quite a rational actor. He wasn't really a gambler. Now he's gone into Ukraine, which is a tremendous risk for him. And it does raise questions whether he does have that view, whether he really does want to recreate some kind of empire. What I suspect he probably wants is to actually have Russia as a kind of dominant player in large swathes of Eastern Europe. He wants these countries like the Baltic republics to move away from the West and come back more into the kind of umbrella of Russia and Russian security.
This play to invade Ukraine, so many analysts, from the West, are saying that Putin's acting outside of rationality. How do you explain his move here? Is this a break from the man we've seen over the past 20 years, his time in power, or should we have seen it coming?
I really think this is a break. For many, many years, I thought that Putin is ruthless, but a kind of rational actor. When he gambles, and the odds are in his favor. And he doesn't actually take too many risks. This does strike me as a very risky move. There is opposition in Russia to it. We know that. There's some evidence that there's opposition within what you might call the political elite, that there is concern about it. And you do suspect that Putin may be talking to a smaller and smaller number of people and kind of tuning out evidence that he doesn't want to hear. So he has this kind of fixed idea that Ukraine should really be part of Russia, part of a greater Russia. And he's not really listening to the kind of voices that are cautioning against it. He's not really listening to the kind of problems that the invasion was and clearly is going to bring about.
Yeah, as eager as he appears to be to etch his name into history, invading another country ensures that. Might this be the first time that his regime of 20 years in power is finally going to see how strong its foundations are?
Yes, I think it will. Putin, for much of the time he's been in office, has been popular. Playing the nationalist card has actually been popular. When Russian forces took Crimea in 2014, there was genuinely quite a lot of popular support in Russia, a lot of criticism, but a lot of popularity too. I think now the feeling is much more muted. I think people can't really see how this is going to benefit Russia. The costs are going to be enormous. And I suspect we're going to see Putin may come under pressure, firstly, from what you might call the street. It's, at the moment, demonstrations are very much under control, but also perhaps from within, the organs of power, from within the ministry, from advisors, who must realize that this is an extraordinarily risky move, and it's not clear what the benefits are.
Do you think, in that case, there might actually be defections down the road if Putin makes another play beyond Ukraine?
I'm not sure there'll be defections. The problem with Putin's Russia, we know very, very little about kind of the inner corridors of power. I saw earlier today one quite senior Russian Major Narodnik, specialist in international relations, said that he thought that if Putin wasn't, or the Russian invasion force wasn't successful quite quickly, then pressure on him would begin to mount.
All right. Professor, thank you very much for that very informative and enlightening. Michael Hughes from Lancaster University.